Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Florida Aviation Network. My name is Lori Bradner, and we are broadcasting live and in the clear from Sun and Fun 51. Our studios are located at the Central Florida Aerospace Academy, right here at the Lakeland Linder Airport. And today, I am absolutely turning up the fun again because I have the honor and the privilege to speak with Dr. Harley Richards. I'm going to shake your hand here. Chairman of the board. Harley, thank you for being here with us again. I want to start, and I've got to ask your impressions because mine is that Gene Conrad and his team, they have turned up the fun. It has been remarkable. So from a board perspective, from a chairman's perspective, what are your thoughts?
Well, I think Gene and his people have blown it off the charts this year. Gene told us this morning after the morning parade. Did you happen to see that?
I did not, but we actually had a few individuals that were out that took pictures.
You know, you needed hearing protection.
Really?
From all the police and all their sirens and, you know. But anyway, you're exactly right. Gene and his creativity and his wonderful staff.
Yeah.
And all of the 3,000 some odd volunteers, as well as law enforcement and everybody else. I mean, it's been not only huge, more people. They've sold more water. They've sold more everything. But it's been relatively incident-free.
Awesome.
And of course, safety, regardless of how many people you have or don't have, I mean, safety is number one.
That's awesome.
And so, I mean, we preach safety in all of the different areas, particularly the areas where people are mixed in with airplane propellers.
Right.
So the number one thing is safety, and we've had a good year.
Awesome.
There have been a couple of incidences with golf carts that are kind of low speed type situations where there were no serious injuries.
It's because people are watching the air, Harley, instead of driving the golf cart.
You know, just, you know, for those of you watching out here, you got to be careful with those golf carts because even though they seem, you know, like they're just a little electric cars, you can get hurt.
Right.
So please be careful.
Now, I understand, Harley, the pedestrian traffic is, I have to tell you, since coming here, I've been coming since 2009. I have never seen the numbers, especially yesterday. And I understand there was more pedestrian traffic than they've ever had. Is that true?
Yeah, I think so. That would be my observation of the Warbird ramp.
Yes.
It's just like a sea of people. It's like a sea of ants out there. And it's I don't know what to say. I mean, it's huge.
What is Gene's magic as the board, as the chairman of the board, when he comes to you? What is this magic? He's like Willy Wonka, kind of, with the chocolate factory. What is his magic?
I think Gene is one of those guys that his personality is you just want to work for him.
Yeah.
He's just has a very magnetic, he's very outgoing. I think his people love to work for him. Yeah. And he's got a wonderful staff.
Okay.
And Gene, he has a creative mind about him, and a lot of his staff, they have creative things they've done by modifying the grounds, you know, and these islands and all this stuff that they have done has been very successful. And I probably don't need to tell you how hard change is.
It is.
And when you've been doing it the same way for 40 years and somebody comes in and says, well, we're going to go out there on the east side and put in an island and have a pickup for Lyft and Uber, and we're going to do this, and you can get groceries delivered out there. And, you know, people are going, I don't know if it's worth the money on it. And then when it just like blows it out of the water, you know, all those people who were naysayers are going, well, I guess that worked, and maybe we ought to do it 4 times as big next year. So, you know, there's been a lot of that kind of creative change with Gene.
And I tell you what, I know we had Dr. Bush that came in. He, you know, he's a wonderful guest. I had the pleasure and the privilege to speak with him, and Gene and his team were also, Dr. Bush said there were new aircraft, new booths, new exhibitors. Really, it was almost, I don't want to say revitalized because Sun and Fun has always been great.
Right.
But when Gene and his team said turn up the fun, they did it. Has that, I mean, have you had an opportunity to walk around? And I mean, certainly as a board, I know you're involved.
Yeah.
Was that part of the plan to make it new, make it bigger, obviously make it bigger and better? Have you noticed that too?
Well, it is, but you got to understand Gene's background.
Okay.
I mean, he grew up basically in Oshkosh.
Yeah.
And let me back it up. So, as the chairman of the board, I am chauffeured around.
How long, I'm going to interrupt you. How long have you been chairman of the board?
2019.
Wow.
2019.
Okay. So you get chauffeured around.
I'm chauffeured around by a pioneer.
Okay.
And for those out there who don't know what a pioneer is, that's one of the people that's been here since the beginning.
Nice.
Okay, since 73, 74. They've been here 74, since the beginning.
When it was just lawn chairs on an airstrip.
Yeah, when it wasn't.
When it wasn't.
You know. And so Donna, Natras,
yes,
known as Big Donna.
Big Donna, yes.
So,
Shout out to her, absolutely.
Yeah, shout out to her and all the other Donnas, Little Donna, and all the other volunteers and pioneers. But it's, it's crazy that what's happened over the years. I kind of, thinking about Donna and all that, I kind of lost my train of thought.
No. You were just saying you get chauffeured around to see
So
the show.
I have the opportunity to see everything.
Okay.
And even though I'm primarily giving out service award pins
Right.
and chairman's awards, we have to go hunt these people down.
They're busy.
They're busy.
Probably they're working.
And so I get to go to every area
Yeah.
and see, and I have seen airplanes that I have not seen before.
Really?
But what I was saying is Gene was raised on the Oshkosh airport, and Donna said, I think I may have changed his diapers, maybe. So Gene knows everybody.
Yeah.
Because he grew up in the industry.
Yeah.
And so then Gene
Great choice.
went to Auburn, got an airport management degree, managed some smaller airports, I'm thinking maybe out in the Midwest,
Right.
before he came to Lakeland.
Right. And then he was here at Lakeland Linder.
Probably 5 years working
Right.
for the city of Lakeland, and you can
Yeah.
see what happened under his watch
Right.
at Lakeland. And so it's no surprise
Yeah.
with all, and you were kind of leading around to where all these people, the warbirds, where all the warbirds come
Yeah.
from, and where did all this come from? Gene knows everybody. He knows everybody that knows everybody that knows everybody. And so, and they understand the kind of a person he is and what kind of a show he runs. And they all want to be here for him.
And you know what? I appreciate what I see too is the culture. He's really, because culture and in education, and I think in any profession, we just heard Brian DiLorenzo was here, talked about the culture of Piedmont.
Right.
And of course, Piedmont is a huge supporter of Sun and Fun year round, not just
Right.
for the show, but it really starts from the top down. And I think you said it best when you said that people want, and maybe not so much work for Gene, but they want to work with Mr. Conrad.
And that's the culture.
That's
You
the
said it
culture.
a different way.
Yeah.
I just said it a different way.
Yeah.
It's been a fun experience
Yeah.
to be on the board at a time. I came on right at the end of the John Burton era,
Right.
and then through the John Leanhouse era, and then into the Gene, as I call him, Eugene B. Conrad III.
That's awesome.
I love calling him that.
Yeah.
And so I've had the opportunity to see a lot of change.
Right.
And I know what change is like and how hard change has been at a board level,
Yeah.
with what all decisions have been made to modify the structure,
Right.
the corporate structure of Sun and Fun in order to make it more successful.
And when we talk about success, I think it starts with the pipeline. And the pipeline is the students, which are
Right.
the foundation, and education is the pillar of. It's absolutely, I think, one of the biggest pillars of Sun and Fun as a whole, obviously with Central Florida Aerospace Academy here. Talk a little bit about, you've seen over all those years, Harley, all the changes you've seen in the Lakeland Aero Club.
Yeah.
And all the great things, because that's the future of aviation. Those are the future of aviation.
Right.
And I know we've got a new lead and a new head. Do you want to, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but would you speak a little bit about that?
Well, in 2014, John Leanhouse and Mike Z and I took kids and we all flew to Oshkosh. We took Wendy, the steerman, John Leanhouse took his steerman.
Okay.
Mike, I think they took a couple of Cubs and maybe a Cessna 140.
Okay.
And so in...
was the aircraft that the students built? Was it not? Was that that
it
time?
may have been, I can't remember.
Okay.
But somewhere up in Illinois, maybe, I can't remember the name of the town out near, it was out near Rockford.
Okay.
And we sat at a hotel smoking cigars and basically conceived the Lakeland Aero Club,
Okay.
how it was going to come together.
Okay.
And so we came back and James Ray made Mike the head honcho and I was on the board at that particular time and, you know, we made it happen.
Yeah.
And Mike Z ran that very, as you know, very successfully for a number of years until Chase just took over just recently.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And he seems like a really nice guy.
Okay.
And I hope he does well as Mike has, you know, does as well as Mike has done.
Yeah.
But have you been over there?
I have, and it's amazing.
God, I mean, it's like crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the excitement is palpable.
Yeah.
You
I
can
mean,
feel it. You walk in, you can't help but be excited.
Those kids are, you know, they're building engines and fabricating old airplanes, and you know, it really is amazing.
Now, do you know? Are they planning again? I know that Florida Aviation Network. I know Sun and Fun. Absolutely, we're going to have a whole team. We have a presence at Oshkosh and AirVenture this coming year. Is Chase planning to take students again this year? Because I know that was a huge, you know, that started with now Captain Harrington, you know.
No, it really did.
Captain Pollock, just to name a few, right?
Yeah, it really did. Phil, you know, that's a huge success story out of the club.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. I know that Gene would like to have Wendy up there, and Eric Washburn has approached me about him and me flying Wendy up. I flew Wendy up in 2014. It took 3.5 days.
Okay, all right.
But yeah, I may do it. I hadn't been there in a while.
Okay.
So
Gene Conrad, he heard it here. You know, he heard it here. He just heard you say
and there's other people that you know, could participate in that. But yeah.
That's
you
awesome.
Know. What else were we talking about? The Aero Club.
Right.
I mean, what an opportunity.
Yes.
It is the only, that setup with the Central Florida, where we're sitting in this school, and then the Lakeland Aero Club. I don't think there's anywhere else in the country, maybe the world,
That's awesome.
that has that setup. I know they were in Hillsboro, Oregon.
Wow.
There has been a group.
Yeah.
I can't remember the fellow's name. He's a Southwest Airlines captain.
Okay.
And he brought school teachers down here, and they were here for a couple of fly-ins, and they are wanting to duplicate this setup in Hillsboro, Oregon. And I wish them luck doing that.
Absolutely.
And you know, other areas, I'm sure, other areas around the country, I'm sure, have to be looking at this.
Yeah. Sounds like a great opportunity for Chase and his team
of
students to take a flight to Oregon and help them start it.
A flight to Oregon and J3 Cubs.
Well, I think if you had a little bit of time, absolutely.
That'd be crazy.
I have to ask. You know, we're turning up the fun in 51. We need to see you in 52.
Yeah, we do.
And so I've got to give a shout out to Ben Coleman for that, you know. So
that's Ben's slogan?
That's Ben's slogan.
We'll see you again in 52.
Yeah, we'll see you again in 52. So, you know, write that down. I told him that, you know, he had to sign the rights over. What is your vision for 52?
More of the same.
Okay.
I expect some additional creativity from Gene and his staff.
Okay.
I think they will look at, debrief,
Right.
and look at what they did different in 51
Okay.
from 50,
Right.
and see what worked and what didn't work, and
Okay.
then what worked, they'll make it bigger. And what didn't work,
That's right.
they'll let it go
Well,
and come up with some new ideas.
and I think that that's, you know, one of the things that stands out to me is how they're expanding. Again, did you have an opportunity to see the night air show?
I did not.
Okay. I have to tell you from my sons were there.
Yeah.
Obviously, I love the aircraft. My one son loves the Legacy flight. That is history. But the technology and I know that they did this before, but those drones,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of magic that keeps drawing people in. This is theory. You've been around a long time. You've been around air shows a long time. You've been chairman of the board. What is it that draws people to air shows? Why do they come?
Well, you know, I asked that question at the Pioneer Luncheon.
Okay.
I had the opportunity to address the Pioneer Luncheon.
Okay.
And I said, what is it that has you people captured that you have been willing to devote 51 years of your life to this organization?
That's a half a century.
Yeah.
It's
And
huge.
I've asked that of volunteers this year because
Right.
I'm kind of curious. You know, a lot of people will get involved with something and they'll stick with it until they master it, let's say, for 5 or 6 years, and then they move on to something else.
Right.
Not this group.
Yeah.
You know, and so I asked them, I said, what have you been infected with
Yes.
that has jumped over onto the volunteers
Great way to say it.
who will stay up until midnight, get up at 5 in the morning, and go do it again,
Dark early.
and then finish at Sun and Fun and get in their car and go to Oshkosh and
Yeah.
do the same thing up there.
Yes.
It's like, what is that?
Yes.
I don't know. Family, camaraderie, I don't know, sense of accomplishment.
What's kept
wanting-
you here all those years?
I love aviation.
Okay.
But I think that a lot of it with the pioneers has to do with, from the very beginning, they wanted to do youth education from the very beginning. That's what that they told me that.
Right.
And finally, starting about 2019 or 2020,
Right.
when the museum became ACE,
Yep.
and it became up here, and the Aero Club and Sun and Fun kind of went down here,
Yeah.
so that people would donate to the educational arm and didn't really care
Yeah.
about spring break for pilots. I think when the board made that decision and they marketed that heavily, that's when things began to take a turn.
Really.
And then the building of all
Yeah.
the labs, Skylab, and all of that,
It's remarkable.
and you know, with the money and
Yeah.
what all is going on over there, that has almost become a self-perpetuating situation. When you see what Eric Crump has done over there,
Phenomenal.
and how many kids are coming through there,
Yes.
and all of the programs, and people know that when they go to the bash and they donate money, that it's going to go to the youth education
Yep.
programs, then it becomes self-propagating, I think. So
Yep.
it's been a wonderful time to be involved with Sun and Fun,
Yeah.
to see that, and you know that because
Yes.
you've been here for a
Yes.
long time
Yes.
as well.
Yes.
And you saw what it was like before,
Right.
when it wasn't like that.
Right. Harley, I thank you for being here, and
It
thank
can't
you.
be done already.
You know what? It is, and it goes fast. And you know what? I want to give you an opportunity to say thank you, because I know as chairman of the board, especially to our volunteers.
Yep.
And I would be remiss. I'm going to give you right here, just if you can give.
Well, you know, I
15
did this
seconds.
last year.
Yep.
And, you know, a big shout out to Gene. Gene, we all love you and what you've done here, and your staff. Very dedicated, motivated, what all they've done. the 3,000 some odd volunteers who somehow pull it together every year to make this happen. It's unbelievable. And then, of course, you know, the general public, people who have children that are interested in aviation, people who know about the educational programs here, and a lot of people don't know about the educational programs here, but folks who do want to get their children involved, thank you for doing that for your kids. Yep. So from all of us here at Sun Fun, we appreciate everything you've done, coming out and supporting us. Thank you.
And with that, my name is Lori Bradner with the Florida Aviation Network. We are celebrating Sun and Fun 51, where Gene Conrad and his team, you definitely turned up the fun. And we look forward to seeing you in 52.